If you're watching After the Sirens, you're already someone who takes history seriously, not as entertainment, but as hard-earned knowledge written in blood, frostbite, and endurance. Before we get into today's guide, make sure you subscribe to the channel and leave a comment sharing which World War II theatre you study most closely, because this channel is built for people who care about the details, not surface-level storytelling. What we're about to cover is not trivia. It's survival doctrine developed by soldiers who had to sleep on frozen ground night after night and still fight the next morning. Many of them failed. The ones who succeeded left us lessons that still matter today. During World War II, sleeping was not rest. It was a calculated act of survival. On the Eastern Front, in the Ardennes, in the Italian mountains, and in Korea immediately after the war, frozen ground killed morale and bodies long before bullets did. Soldiers learned, often the hard way, that how you slept determined whether you woke up functional or half dead. These are 7 documented, field-tested sleeping hacks used by World War II soldiers to survive frozen ground, explained with the depth they deserve. Why, you might ask, did insulation from the ground matter more than insulation from the air? Well, during the Second World War, soldiers quickly discovered that the ground was the true adversary, not merely the cold air swirling around them. You see, frozen earth acts as a massive heat sink, drawing warmth out of the body much faster than any biting wind ever could. German, Soviet and Allied field manuals all began to stress the importance of ground insulation after, frankly, catastrophic losses to hypothermia during those early winter campaigns. Soldiers were instructed to prioritize anything that could break direct contact with the soil. Pine branches, straw, spare clothing, or even empty ammunition crates flattened beneath their bedding. In practice, this meant that daylight hours were often spent gathering whatever materials they could find before darkness set in and the temperature plummeted. If a modern survivalist were to apply these lessons today, they ought to think in terms of layering beneath the body first, even before giving much thought to blankets or sleeping bags, honestly. Now, let's talk about how evergreen bough beds became, well, standard practice in winter campaigns. You see, evergreen boughs weren't really chosen for comfort. No, it was all about physics. Pine, spruce and fir branches, they trap air and resist compression much better than dry grass or leaves ever could. During the Winter War, Finnish troops actually perfected this technique, and interestingly enough, both German and Soviet forces ended up copying it. A proper bough bed, well, it required branches laid thick side-down, needles up, overlapping just like shingles. And, you know, soldiers who rushed this step, well, they suffered cold-soaked fatigue within just a few hours. Applied today, this teaches a clear lesson. Insulating material must trap air and resist flattening. Whether using natural materials or modern gear, compression kills warmth. Why sleeping slightly elevated saved lives in snow conditions? Sleeping directly on snow accelerates heat loss, especially when body heat melts the surface beneath you. World War II mountain troops learned to elevate themselves using log skis or packed snow platforms. This prevented meltwater from forming beneath the body, which could soak clothing and freeze again. In the Ardennes, United States infantry used ration boxes and shelter halves to create these, well, rather crude raised beds. For modern application, even a small elevation of just a few inches, using packs or debris, can dramatically reduce conductive heat loss and moisture exposure. How soldiers use shared body heat without sacrificing combat readiness. Despite popular myths, soldiers rarely slept piled together unless it was absolutely necessary. Instead, they practiced controlled proximity. Men slept close enough to reduce wind exposure and share ambient warmth, but, they remained fully dressed and equipped. German manuals stressed, quite specifically, boots loosened but not removed, helmets nearby, and weapons within reach. The lesson here is discipline. Shared warmth works only when combined with readiness. Today, this translates to managing sleep systems that allow warmth without compromising mobility or reaction time. Why vapor barriers became an unspoken survival trick. One of the least discussed World War II sleeping hacks was the use of improvised vapor barriers. Soldiers used ponchos, oilcloths, or even bread bags to prevent moisture from escaping into insulating layers where it would freeze. Soviet troops were notorious for wrapping feet and torsos in cloth treated with grease or wax. Moisture management mattered as much as insulation. In modern terms, this explains why improper layering causes cold injuries even with good gear. Keeping insulation dry is not optional, it is survival. How calorie timing before sleep influenced body heat overnight. WWII soldiers learned that when you eat mattered as much as what you ate. High-fat, high-calorie rations consumed immediately before sleep help fuel internal heat production through the night. German soldiers favoured sausage and bread late in the evening, while Allied troops saved chocolate or fats for night consumption. This wasn't comfort eating. It was metabolic strategy. Applied today, a warm, calorie-dense meal before sleep in cold conditions can, significantly improve overnight thermal stability. Why disciplined sleep posture reduced heat loss and injury. Sleeping position was taught deliberately. Soldiers curled slightly, knees bent, minimizing surface area exposed to cold. Arms were kept close to the torso, not extended. Frostbite injuries were common in fingers left exposed during sleep. Field manuals even warned against sprawling positions despite fatigue. For modern practitioners, this reinforces that sleep posture affects heat retention and injury risk, especially in extreme cold. These 7 World War II soldier sleeping hacks, they were not theoretical. They were refined through failure, death and adaptation under conditions most people will honestly never experience. What makes them valuable today is not nostalgia, but their applicability. Whether you study history, practice cold weather survival, or simply want to understand how human endurance was stretched to its limits, these lessons, well, they remain relevant. If this kind of deep, no-nonsense historical survival analysis is why you're here, do consider subscribing to After the Sirens and share this guide with others who respect the reality behind wartime endurance. Leave a comment with the hack that surprised you most and, keep these lessons alive by passing them on.